Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
You are not ready for what just happened at Denver Broncos training camp. The rest of the NFL has absolutely no idea how nasty this blue and orange wrecking crew is about to be, and after today, there is no more debating it. This defense is not taking a step backward after losing John Franklin Myers. It is taking a violent, snarling leap forward, and there are receipts to prove every word of it. On top of that, we are getting incredible news about Bo Nix and his growing chemistry with Jalen Waddle, who cannot stop smiling every time his name comes up. We have got fantastic updates on Marvin Mims. We have got a locker room that genuinely seems to like each other. There is simply too much to break down, so smash that like button, drop a comment, hit subscribe, and let us dive into all of it. Here is the setup you need to understand. Early on in training camp, the Denver Broncos offense was moving the football like it owed them money. Jalen Waddle looked unstoppable. Receivers were falling off the back of trucks. It felt like nobody could lay a hand on this offense, which is genuinely strange for the start of camp, because defenses are supposed to have the advantage in July. Well, everything flipped today, and everyone who is standing on that practice field is saying the exact same thing. Tyler Columbus, who won a Super Bowl in Denver playing behind arguably the greatest defense this franchise has ever fielded, the legendary no-fly zone, came out and said the defense out there right now is flat out crazy intense, and they are putting the offensive line in the dirt for the entire practice. That is an enormous statement, because everybody assumed this defensive line would regress without John Franklin Myers in the middle, and they are doing this damage without Nick Bonito for the bulk of practice too, which we will get to in a moment. So that alone is remarkable. And then things got chippy. You could see this defense had something to prove, and they clearly did not appreciate the offense stacking up winning days at their expense, because the intensity out there jumped across the entire internet within hours. Evan Engram and Jaquan McMillian got tangled up in a little scuffle after a play, reportedly because Engram was getting hit well after the whistle, and he was not exactly thrilled about it. Then J.K. Dobbins and Talanoa Hufanga were going back and forth on the sideline, just chirping at each other nonstop. Reporter Luca Evans called it easily the chippiest practice of the entire training camp so far, and said he was loving every second of it. Sierra Bettinger summed it up perfectly too, saying this defense is out for blood, because apparently Hufanga was so fired up that he walked straight into a scrum of media members and told them in no uncertain terms to make sure they write down that the Denver Broncos defense won the day. And nobody in that scrum disagreed with him. Now here is why all of this should have you buzzing. Albert Breer, one of the most respected reporters in the entire sport who writes for Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback, was on site covering this Broncos camp in person, and he put together a massive feature on this team. His conclusion was that the only real question mark on this entire roster might be how the middle of this defense holds up. Think about that for a second. Go check out any other training camp in this league right now, and you will find a laundry list of glaring, obvious question marks. It is not hard to spot the problems on most rosters. But Breer is out here saying he is not even sure a real question exists for this team, and if one does, it is buried deep in the interior of the defensive front. Except, based on what we saw today, that question is already getting answered, and it is getting answered with an exclamation point. A lot of this comes down to culture, and specifically the nastiness this culture has developed. Zach Allen spoke about it today, crediting defensive coordinator Vance Joseph for setting the tone that every single player on this defense now channels. Allen went out of his way to gush about Jaquan McMillian, praising both his skill set and his relentless intensity as things that make this entire defense function at a higher level. That is a pretty remarkable thing to hear a veteran defensive lineman say about his slot corner. But according to Allen, McMillian is not just the best nickel corner in professional football right now. He can also get home as a blitzer. Think back to how many times McMillian has sealed games for this team. Whether it was against the Cleveland Browns a couple seasons back, or against the Kansas City Chiefs, or against the Buffalo Bills last season. Jaquan McMillian has earned every bit of hype and every bit of money coming his way, because the man is an absolute dog on that field. But if you really want to know why nobody in this league is prepared for how nasty this Broncos defense is about to be, look no further than the flashes we are seeing from Jonah Ellis. Remember, after his rookie season, Ellis became the youngest player in NFL history to record 5 sacks. He was 21 years old with 5 sacks in his first year. A kid who could barely grow a beard and could not legally order a drink in most states. Last season, in a story that stayed remarkably quiet because Sean Payton's staff keeps information locked down tight, Ellis was actually dealing with a nagging injury for a good chunk of the year. A media member close to Payton's circle, speaking off the record, admitted that the coaching staff was not expecting much production out of Ellis in the back half of last season because of that ailment. Well, that injury is officially in the rearview mirror, and Ellis is absolutely torching training camp right now. Put it all together. You already have Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonitto, who Pro Football Focus ranked as the second-best edge-rushing duo in all of professional football. Now you are giving those two a breather on the sideline and rotating in a healthy, explosive Jonah Ellis, while also hearing glowing reports about how much bigger and faster Decca Robinson looks compared to this time last year. That combination should have every Broncos fan absolutely buzzing with excitement. It was Jonah Ellis 2 seasons ago as a 21-year-old rookie who fundamentally changed the trajectory of an entire season. Remember that home game against the Raiders when Denver looked sluggish and was staring down the barrel of falling behind by 2 scores? It was Ellis generating pressure that forced Gardner Minshew into a rushed, desperate throw, setting up that unforgettable pick 6 from Pat Surtain that flipped the entire game. That was a rookie causing that kind of chaos. And in this preseason, Ellis has looked completely unblockable, shedding blockers on sweeps to make plays deep in the backfield, blowing up counters and bootlegs because he simply refuses to be accounted for. He does not just win with a quick get-off at the snap, he has got a legitimate bull rush, elite timing off the football, and he chases quarterbacks down like a linebacker rather than an edge rusher. Anytime you hear that Jonah Ellis is already popping off in camp, get excited, because you already know what Bonitto and Cooper bring to the table. That defensive front of Ellis, Robinson, Cooper, and Bonitto is exactly how Albert Breer's one lingering question gets answered. Speaking of Nick Bonitto, there was a genuinely terrifying moment where scrolling social media at work turned into a full-blown panic because reports were flying that Bonitto was down on the field, not getting up, and being walked back to the locker room by trainers. For a few minutes, the entire season flashed before our eyes. Thankfully, Sean Payton quickly shut down the panic, telling reporters flatly that there was no update and that Bonitto would be fine. He barely even let Denver's Zach Stevens finish asking the question before cutting him off. No, he will be fine, no update. That is the exact same tone Payton used yesterday when addressing center Luke Wattenberg's injury situation. Wattenberg was back out at practice, and while he was not in full pads, he was present and moving around in everything else, which is a great sign. Typically, when a player is dealing with something serious enough for surgery, they are nowhere near the practice field. The fact that Wattenberg was out there, combined with Payton's blunt no-update response on Bonitto, tells you these are not situations to lose sleep over. If something significant were wrong, we would already know by now. There is even more good news buried in Breer's reporting. He specifically pointed out how much healthier J.K. Dobbins looks compared to previous seasons and how far this running back room has come since Sean Payton's very first year in Denver. Now you have got a fully healthy Dobbins, a Jaleel McLaughlin looking phenomenal, and R.J. Harvey, who somehow led all rookie running backs in touchdowns last season despite battling a shoulder injury at the start of camp and another injury that ended his year early. Breer is genuinely excited about that room's ceiling this season. And then there is Bo Nix. One thing noticed both in person at camp and echoed by Breer's reporting around the league is that Nick's arm looks noticeably stronger this year, with more velocity and zip on his throws than in either of his first 2 seasons. Nick has always been praised for his mobility, his football IQ, and his ability to know where to go with the football. But the raw arm talent had never quite matched up to a Drew Lock or a Brock Osweiler type of thrower. That appears to be changing. When multiple respected voices around the league, including one of the best reporters in football, are independently noticing the same improvement, that is not a coincidence. It means this Broncos team is not just hoping to be as good as last season. They are positioned to be genuinely better because Jonah Ellis is healthy and Bo Nix is not staying the same quarterback. He is leveling up. And then there is Jalen Waddle, who might be the best storyline of this entire camp. His body language at the podium says everything you need to know. When asked what it is like playing with Bo Nix, you can see the genuine joy on his face. Consider what Waddle dealt with in Miami, catching passes from Tua Tagovailoa, whose throws often looked more like wobbly punts sailing through the air than tight spirals. Now Waddle is visibly thrilled to be playing with a quarterback who is a far better leader and a far more accurate passer. Waddle even shared a story about a moment where he was frustrated with himself over a route he had run incorrectly while studying the playbook, and Bo Nix walked over and simply told him not to worry about it, that he would get him the football regardless. That is leadership. Maybe the most refreshing part of this entire camp is the culture. This locker room feels different than any Broncos team in recent memory, and honestly different from most rosters across the league, because these guys are genuinely for each other. The team's own media put out a graphic reading, "Iron sharpens iron." And while that might sound like a tired cliche, it is proving to be completely true for this group. Listen to how Jalen Waddle talks about Marvin Mims, a receiver who could easily be viewed as a direct competitor for targets, someone who by every normal logic Waddle should want to create distance from in the pecking order. Instead, Waddle openly says he is a big fan of Marvin Mims. No hesitation, no politics, just genuine respect and support for a teammate. That is the whole story right there. Culture eats talent for breakfast, but this Broncos roster somehow has both in abundance. The defense is nastier than anyone outside Denver is prepared for, and this locker room is a genuine band of brothers pulling in the same direction. So do not make any Valentine's Day plans for February 14th, because there is a very real chance we will all be watching Bo Nix and this Broncos team playing in the Super Bowl instead. If this breakdown got you fired up, make sure you smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts on this defense and what you are seeing out of camp, and subscribe so you never miss the next update. This is Broncos, and we will see you in the next one.